All right, what's up, everybody? I wanted to have a conversation with these two gentlemen. I've interviewed both of them. Well, actually, Amir, you and I have only been on the channel one time. I feel like I know you well because I follow you on social media, and you kill it, brother. You are
Thanks, man.
I every year there's someone special that I start following that I'm like, this person is a real game changer, and you're my game changer of 2023. And I know you've been doing this for a lot longer than that, but you hit my radar this year, and I'm grateful for it, brother.
Thank you, Dave. And I feel like I've been on more than one of these because I've watched hundreds of your videos. I just watched the one the other day with Daniel Saw, and I messaged him, and man,
good.
Wow. If anyone has not watched that, they need to watch that. That was a really good one, man.
Yeah. And the thing about that, by the way, that's the first time I've interviewed Daniel, and he's been a mortgage coach for a long time, been killing it for a long time. And he was always a guy that said no, didn't accept an invite to interview. But man, his intensity, his standards, you could just tell the way he's driving like a modern mortgage experience. It was really impressive. I'm glad you saw that. Anyone listening to this, we'll put a link down below to that. It is a must-watch interview. And then, of course, this guy, Shawn Kaplan, is someone that I had been chasing to become a mortgage coach. Seems like a decade, Shawn. Probably wasn't 10 years that I had to chase you, but probably 5. And now you're full-fledged, I'd say, modern mortgage originator, mortgage coach, and 2 of the best interviews of the year. So good to have you, bro.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. I'm just a slow adopter. I had to learn that speed to implementation was the key to being a top producer. So thank you for helping me with that.
Yeah, well, no, your success, folks. I'm going to put a link down below to that too. I think we ended up calling that "How is Shawn Kaplan Closing 20 Loans a Month?" That might have been the title. And Shawn told a story. To me, it's one of the most important stories of the year. And it's also part of what led to the topic in the conversation I want to have right now. He told a story in January. You were my first interview of the year. And it was a builder. I think, Shawn, you said this is someone you had been chasing you had a personal relationship with for like 10 years. Is that right?
Almost 15 years, yeah. Builds about 100 homes a year. Never really had like the tools or the product or the ideas to go after it. And then I packaged up Mortgage Coach, and I said, hey, I got something that I think I want to do for you and some of your new construction listings. We shot a video, a modern loan officer type video, put it in our Mortgage Coach, sent it over to him and said, hey, I'd like to do this for all your houses. And now we've got the account. We've had it.
Yeah. And just to put a little more meat on the bones for everybody, there was a little more to it than that. He showed, first of all, there was a digital experience. He showed that builder some strategies to help sell the home. And it's a year where builders need help and they're open to strategies. He put a video on it, and he recorded that video in front of a house, one of those 100 homes that the builder, I'm sure, needed help selling. So you were very strategic about the video and the background of the video. And then going from memory, you also, like, you created this, hey, here's a strategy, intentional video. And then you also made a video on Instagram where you're like, hey, 1, I can help you sell more of these homes, and 2, I can help get attention around your homes. And so you did an Instagram story.
Yeah, we literally created a reel and then texted it to all 12 of the agents on the team and said, hey, feel free to use this. Just make sure to tag me in it. And they ended up selling that house within a matter of like 3 days, I think, like, true story. And so that definitely, I got a little lucky there, like, it definitely helped out, but it started the relationship off pretty darn good.
Yeah. And so, guys, that was in January. He got his first lead. He told that story. And then I interviewed you a couple of weeks ago. And what was it like? You've got 20 loans this year from that builder as a result of that strategy. Is that right?
Yeah. 2022 as of the end of the month of September, actually.
Boom.
Yeah.
So guys, here's what drove this conversation. This is an image that I took off of Amir's Facebook page, and he posted this. And this is something we see a lot of people talking about, building a personal brand. And there's no doubt, if you have a great personal brand, you're a great marketer, I believe you will always have a seat at the table. But I wanted to unpack this a little bit more. Like, what are the skills and habits to have a personal brand? And then let's face it, traditional sales, like still hitting your numbers. How many calls did you make? How many people did you talk to? Maybe how you make those calls is different. Maybe how you get the attention is different. But I really wanted to unpack this, and I couldn't think of two better people to do it. So first of all, Amir, why don't you kind of share your perspective? When you put this out there, what's the why behind it? And then I also want to hear you just kind of unpack what goes into a personal brand for you, and what goes into traditional selling. And then Shawn, I'll bring kind of the same question to you, and we'll keep talking. And if anybody's watching this live in Facebook, I will keep an eye, and we'll try to bring your questions into the conversation.
Totally, Dave. Well, thank you for having us. And it's always an honor, and I think a lot of this came about for a few reasons. One, when COVID happened, it really accelerated the next 10 years in a matter of like 2 years, right? It forced us to adopt Zoom, paperless, right? Social media just went through the roof because people were sitting at home, isolated, and, on Facebook, TikTok, IG, it really just changed the way people just live. And so what I started to notice is how I was consuming information. I would sit at home, and I still have this habit. I used to watch TV at night, like for about an hour, just to zone out. I hardly ever watch TV. I'm just on my phone, and I'm just on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. That's literally what I do. And the TV's on, but I'm not even watching it. Right. And so then my wife would do the same thing. And then I started just observing people. And I love like this, to kind of chase my curiosity with statistics. And I just like to go down the rabbit hole. I love research. And I started seeing like, holy cow, like this is really the future is here, how people get information. And so I was listening to the data, watching the data, reading the data about how in the year 2025, 75% of the entire workforce will be comprised of millennials. Millennials are delaying marriage much later in life than traditionally. Dual incomes, having less kids, right? And they have the flexibility now to work anywhere. So I started thinking about this. I said, wow, the traditional loan officer has to be in their own geography within 20 miles, right? And I said, okay, so now we can expand, right? Because it's the norm. You don't have to necessarily be behind a big company name anymore like it was 10 years ago, where the company name would hold it over your head because there was a race for expediency and fulfillment. We have the best underwriting, best processing, best products, best technology. That playing field has been leveled now. People don't care as much about the company name. So now the power is back to the loan officer. Now there is flexibility to go do loans through this post-pandemic era of virtual connectivity in any state across the country. Now people are consuming information, not from paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in a 30-second commercial spot, by paying for sponsored ads that directly target your demographic, not having to buy a billboard or a bus stop ad or postcards. It is just a massive, incredibly powerful time right now. Now, when you think about all this, I used to always think about be known, liked, and trusted. Okay. We've all heard that, the KLT model, right? Super important. But people now, it's about being seen before you're actually known. I got my start, Dave, as a cold caller. And I still believe, you and I talked about this in our first thing. I can't wait to be in your, Scriptapalooza, because I still believe I'm one of the best cold callers in the country because I've made over 100,000 of them. Okay. And so now when I cold call, it's not even a cold call. It's a warm call because I've used my social media to connect with my target agents. I've engaged intellectually and thoughtfully. So by the time I reach out, they've already seen me so much. It's like I'm a celebrity and they just say, hey, Amir, how are you? And they stutter. And it's made prospecting way easier, right? So even from an outbound triage type of standpoint to prospect, my reputation precedes me just through consistency of content. And there's different types of content that I've been able to understand. There's viral transformation posts, engagement posts, value posts, right? And so long story longer, right? And I'll kind of wrap up my initial thoughts is where I see these millennials going, we're almost 50 million of the 66 million millennials that are about to hit prime household formation age of 33 to 36 years old. They don't necessarily trust the big company brands. They trust the personal brand. They want that accessibility. They still believe in a lot of education because many of them were scarred from the 2008 financial crisis that their parents went through. So they want to be like, do you look like me? Do I assimilate like you? Do I have access to you? Do you give me great, simple education? And now we can go direct to the consumer, right? To let our content compound for the future, which 26, 27, 28, 29 is going to be here. So the LOs and the realtors that are not taking advantage of long form content where people trust you and short form content like IG where people get to know you, I think they're really missing the curve in this great opportunity we're in right now.
Yeah, no, you made so many good points, and I want to show a quick chart because it really helps visualize what Amir just shared. Is, you know, this right here is a little tsunami of millennials that are hitting prime time, you know, home buying age. So this is here right now.
Yeah, there you go.
And
wow.
and then, you know, the point I also want to make is, you know what? Gen X likes what millennials like, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I'm right on the edge. You know, I was born in 64, so I guess technically I'm the youngest boomer. But you know what? I like the same things that millennials like. You know, I'm on Instagram, so is my wife. You know, we're on Facebook. We're learning, and we're, you know, both being educated, inspired, and entertained, you know, on these platforms. And so there's no doubt there's never been a better time to leverage platforms to build brands that will give you a seat at the table to, you know, whatever local market you're in to win. So agree on that. So Shawn, let's get your take on this. You know, the image. What is, maybe you could also paint a little picture a little bit between, hey, you know, personal brand, traditional sales, you know, what's the difference there? And then we'll unpack this more.
Yeah, so my journey probably started from forecasting my future and the end of my life backwards. And what I mean by that is I started on the same journey as Amir, where like I had to hustle and grind. I mean, I came in during the day when leads came in on a fax machine, you know, and they were all curled up, and I'd get in there at 5 a.m. to sneak in there before everybody else and pull out the good leads and then wrap them up and put all the rest of them back in there. I used to stuff mailbox and all that. So when video came around, you know, it was when Facebook, you had to be in college to get on Facebook. So I lied, said I was still in college to get a Facebook account because I'd already graduated. But I tell you all of that because I found that, okay, Facebook will allow me to actually build a relationship with someone, but exponentially I can get out there and reach people. So I started doing video YouTube in 2009, 2010, and I actually grew into a modern loan officer just recently in the last few years because I did shitty video for 12 years. I literally got to the point where I would look up and I'd work super hard on a video. Even at this point, I was paying someone $36,000 a year to put videos out, and 14 people would watch it. And I felt like a failure. And like Amir said, I was still cold calling. I still am a traditional loan officer, but the doors weren't opening up. So I had this reflective moment one day, and I was like, nobody's watching my videos. I'm working super hard on them. I'm calling people, not feeling like I'm bringing any value. And I'm going to end up, you know, dying one day. And a bunch of people are going to come to my funeral and say, wow, he was a great loan officer. And that's the exact opposite of what I wanted. So I said, you know what? I've got to build a platform. So I started really, really just investing in myself and realizing that I need to have a brand. I need to have a platform I stand on, a purpose, and then I can teach my business through that, because that will open up doors. That'll get me on stages. That'll get me on podcasts. That'll get me on interviews. And so I focus on two things: traditional versus modern day loan officer. This is what I think your audience should really focus on. When I started realizing that I could do a video and provide something that people wanted to actually listen to, other than the stuff that most of us talk about on social media, I said, I'm going to focus on three things. I'm going to focus on telling life stories, pivotal life stories, because people relate to stories. I learned that from Donald Miller, who lives here in Franklin, Tennessee, Story Brand. I'm going to share hard lessons with authenticity and vulnerability. I'm not going to talk about the highlight reel. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to talk about the difficult stuff that people face. And number three, I'm going to teach people all the hacks that I wish somebody would have taught me earlier in my life and in my career. I'm going to try to shave time and give back time to people. So when all my social media goes up now, I always try to think about it around this model: PAT versus KPIs, traditional versus modern. So PAT, personal action touches, is something that I'm putting out. Is it a personal action touch that like really is significant? Or is it about me? I want you to see something that I'm doing. So in other words, I want to encourage, teach a lesson. And then KPIs, like Amir said, like there's too many people that are just sitting back doing a bunch of fancy videos and think that their business is going to explode. And they're forgetting that they got to track, how many voice-to-voice conversations did I have? How many new people did I meet this week? You know, how many value bombs did I send out to people? You know, how many events did I go to, and how many handwritten cards or notes did I send to people? And so PAT versus KPIs is how I measure my social media. When I look, and I think being a modern day loan officer combined with a traditional loan officer, and that's the wave of the future, because I'll make a statement and then I'll be quiet. But I truly do believe that if it's not AI, it's going to be some sort of technology. And like, it's going to take a big chunk out of our industry. And you're going to have a lot of $100 million used to be producers that are going to be sitting here saying, who am I? What's my identity? Like, what am I supposed to do now? And so if we all start working on building a brand and a platform now, that can transfer into business, that can transfer into other things, and that'll help us get through all of this. And that's when people will come back to us. I think I lost your sound.
Yeah. Cap, you make a really good point while Dave gets his audio. I've been treating my social media as business media. I don't even call it social anymore.
Right.
It's been a really big kind of mental reframe for me that, you know, you hear some people say, I don't do social media. And I'm like, dude, like it's business media. And so these are each of my channels within my cable network. Like Nickelodeon is one type of audience. So like my TikTok is one audience. My Twitter and /threads is another audience. My LinkedIn, which I'm blowing up on, right? I'm trending 30,000 followers by the end of next year, is my business audience. And so I put completely different content there. My financial planners, a lot of my consultants, my accountants, my attorney clients, I connect with all of them on LinkedIn. It's become my CRM. It's the best CRM one can have is their social media, because I'm there every day in a very non-static way. And you said something else that I hope people caught, because it's very entrepreneurial of you. Okay. What this content has done has opened so many doors for me outside the mortgage business that I think people are failing to understand the multifaceted benefit of creating good quality content every day, because you just don't know who's watching, right? And so I implore loan officers to think this is a hedge for you in the future.
Right.
You know, this is a hedge for you to basically protect yourself in case things really, you know, become disrupt in the mortgage industry, because that's your online business card. And the mortgage business, when you think about it, guys, I don't look at Dave Savage or Shawn Kaplan, even like, let's say Daniel Saw. I don't look at these people as mortgage people. I look at them as entrepreneurs. To be a really good, successful mortgage person, you have to be a great entrepreneur, because you're truly self-employed. You're understanding how to work with people. You're solving problems against massive deadlines with lots of money involved. And so to truly be a great producer, you already are a great entrepreneur. And so you have to accentuate that across your social for other entrepreneurs.
So
Yes.
what I want to do now in transition this, I mean, one, I think a case has been made, and, you know, write down the word if you didn't write it, that that social media is a modern CRM. You know, now, does that
Yes.
mean you don't also have a database of, you know, everyone that you've either ran a credit report, you've closed a loan for, and you're monitoring it for opportunities? You absolutely, that is part of, you know, being a data-driven mortgage advisor. You have to be data-driven to be a modern mortgage advisor. But there's a point I want to make right now, and I want to get both of your feedback on it, because there's, you know, when I think of traditional sales, I think of two things. One, activity, you know, winning by noon. You know, Shawn, you were in the core for a long time, and you know, hitting your numbers. You know, if you talk to enough people and have great conversations, you're going to be successful. And so I just think that is a truth in sales. Now there is a difference now, because there's, you know, one-on-one conversations. There's, you know, I interviewed Sean Herrera, who closed over 10 million this month, and I think he was number 10 at cross country this month. And you know, I was interviewing him how he got in front of 165 realtors last week to deliver a presentation. And you know, part of that was how he's showing up on social media. But there's another part of what I think is traditional and modern. And this is a concept that to me bridges both. It's both traditional and it's something that is incredibly modern. And I'm gonna show a picture of me. I started in the business in 1986. This is a picture of me in 1992. Yeah, right. And
Sweet tie.
and
Look at that hair, man.
you gotta
That
love
Mac.
that hair, baby.
TI 85, baby.
Yeah, that was back in the day where, you know, I wanted to, I landed on this value proposition that my advice makes a difference. And this is the point I want to make right now. That, by the way, all of the most successful loan officers I knew, and I hung with the best of best. I was one of the top 40 loan officers in America. You know, Barry Habib and I were, you know, good buddies. He was an OG mortgage coach, Tim Brahim. And you know what we all had in common? Our advice made a difference, you know, and so that is a traditional concept. Like, be that person whose advice truly makes a difference, one-on-one, one-to-many, and hit your numbers. Like, you know, make your calls, do your 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever. Now, what is prospecting has changed. You know, prospecting isn't necessarily cold calling people back in the day. You know, like, hey, when I started cold calling, it was Yellow Pages. It was before mobile phones. I mean, it was a full-on old school cold calling experience. You know, nowadays it's a combination of social media. It's, you know, like, I don't want voice messages on my mobile phone. That's my biggest spam box. It's, you want to talk to me? Text me. Hey, Dave, you got a minute? Right. You know, it's a combination of text, Zoom, social, audio messages, you know, video messages. It's a multimedia experience, and that's modern. You know, like if you know, so let's unpack some skills. So first of all, do you guys agree that concept, my advice makes a difference, that if you want to be a killer today and in the future, you need to be someone that can give advice beyond the loan transaction. You need to really help a consumer build wealth with real estate through advice. Shawn, any thoughts on that?
I mean, Dave, you were pivotal back in 05, 06. I remember watching you, and you guys were talking about the advice portion of being an advisor to people, and it shifted my whole career. And what's interesting is that's where what was the traditional, and now it's come back again in the modern world, because let's face it, for the last 12 years, it was about how fast, how cheap, you know, how quick, you know, whatever the fancy glitz and glam was. And then now the market's back to like what you truly know. So I like to be tactical. So let me just give an example that maybe can be real applicable, but that everybody can use out there. So, you know, what I like about Growth Only, and Amir invited me in to be a coach with them, is it does take the traditional loan officer and it pairs it with the modern loan officer. And one of the first things he taught me when I came on board as a coach, you know, was something called circle prospecting. So he just talked about it a minute ago. It's not social media, it's business media. So for example, go into your local Facebook groups for your real estate agents and find ways to be an advisor and help these people. Here's an example. I just coached 16 loan officers on this about an hour ago. I said, what if you taught your realtor to engage their past client database by simply doing this one thing? Pull that client's address up that they helped buy a home a couple of years ago on Zillow, take a screenshot of this estimate, text it to their past client and say, hey, I've got my thoughts on this, but what do you think? It'll start a dialogue. It'll start a conversation. It doesn't cost anything. It provides value. And it's something different that you can do as a modern day loan officer by providing traditional value to realtors instead of sitting and calling 100 on a Monday and trying to act like you're their friend and how their weekend was and how their family was. Like, that's weird. They don't want that. They want value and they want help and they want tools right now. Second thing is, okay, you can call realtors. The phone is very important. We need to make sure to do that. But like you said, it's really inefficient. It's a spam inbox. So yesterday I went ahead and sent a voice memo to 20 agents. And I said, I want to grab 15 minutes of your time. I've got a tactic that's fresh and new. I'm tired of all the same old loan officer jargon. Let me know what time you're available and I'll share this with you. And I had 20 realtors, 19 of them hit me back. And I've got calls scheduled all through the rest of this week to teach them that tactic. So we got to use these tools at our advantage. We've got to bring extreme value using them.
Yeah. So by the way, I just want to make sure everybody caught that voice memo, and now it's pretty cool. It's being transcribed, like the newest update on iPhone not only puts the voice memo there, but it's transcribed. So if you're in a place where you can't read it. So at the end of the day, guys, I think being a modern advisor is absolutely having something you stand for. I built my brand and my entire career as an entrepreneur as being someone whose advice matters. Like, that's part of why I started a YouTube channel and started interviewing loan officers is I wanted, like, no one, even though I was not a loan officer anymore, I was a technology entrepreneur. I was like, no one is going to be closer to the street than I am. Like, I am going to be interviewing the best of the best. I'm going to understand it. My advice will matter just on the mere fact that who I'm hanging out with, who I'm asking questions about, and who I'm interviewing. And I would just push everybody, if you want to be a modern mortgage professional, like, that may not be your tagline, but you need to be a person whose advice matters. So Shawn, I know you're going to have to jump in 4 minutes and I'm going to have to jump in about 10 minutes. We'll come back to you in a minute here, Amir. If there was a list of, I don't know, I'm not going to put a number on it, but just rift skills and habits of a modern, and we're not going to use the word loan officer. That was one debate I wanted to, like, guys, first of all, a modern loan officer is not a loan officer. A modern loan officer is an advisor, is a mortgage entrepreneur. By definition, if the word loan officer is in, like, who you are and what you are, you're not modern. You're an advisor, you're an entrepreneur. But Shawn, skills and habits of a modern mortgage advisor, what are they?
I would definitely say that you should still be planning on making new connections on a weekly basis. And if you want to do it digitally, it's a great way to build a platform, build a frame of reference, like Amir said, before they even know you, and then reach out and say, I have something of value I want to share with you. And you can do it through your social platforms. You should be spending probably, 45 minutes to an hour each day, like specifically managing and working on, at minimum, your social media channels. I think you should have a very, very strategic plan on what are you going to do, the action items, and what you're going to do to get out of it, and a goal. But I would also say that this is probably the one that's going to be the hardest to package up in words, but the best investment I've made is in myself. We've heard that before. But what it did was it pushed me out of my comfort zone to be able to share my message with people to a point that it penetrates households and families and individuals right now and says, you know what? I know, like, and trust that guy because he's going through what I'm going through right now. And I think that's what America needs. Once they know that they can trust you, then you can speak into their life. And I can tell a single mother why she should refinance her 3.5% rate to a 7.5% rate to pay off all that debt. And so I would just say, to make sure to continue to push yourself, to grow outside of your normal boundaries and figure out a way to do things that other people are not doing it. but you have to be doing it consistently, and you have to treat this just like anything else and have an action plan, have a business around it. I don't know if that's
So
what you're looking for, but
yeah, no,
that's what I'm thinking.
that was a great debrief. I'm super grateful to have you as a leader in our community. You are a mortgage coach now. Love having you here. Love our interviews. Feel free to jump whenever you need to. I'm gonna bring it to Amir, and if you can stay. But if you need to get to another meeting, feel free to jump anytime, Shawn.
I appreciate you having me, Dave. I'll see you tomorrow here in Nashville.
Oh, that's right. See you tomorrow, brother.
See you, buddy.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Cap.
All right,
See you,
Amir.
man.
Question to you, and then I'll add my thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up. What are the skills and habits of a modern mortgage advisor today?
I would say, to encapsulate it, it's a modern loan advisor is one that creates consistent content to be seen before he or she's known, liked, and trusted, that generates business for its core referral partners and edutains its consumer base. And so if I have to unpack that, right, it's working backwards is, I don't believe educating is just a way of being an advisor. I think edutaining, it's a word play on education and entertainment, right? And what I mean by that is that people are learning differently these days. It's about who can take more difficult concepts in a very fun, vibrant way, and chunk down that information for home buyers, right? Just because it's got to be distilled quickly. Loan presentation tools such as MortgageCoach, right? Whether or not I'm on this call or not, I just don't find any better loan presentation tool to help people understand, the cost of interest and interest savings and building long-term wealth and 2-1 buy downs. Like, it's having a modern tech stack, right? And so like loan officers are still just using some spreadsheets, or like they're emailing, proposals. Like, it's just so crazy. It's asinine to me, right? That there is no like nice showcasing of the information to first dumb it down a little bit and to create a little bit more fun around, the mortgage process with some of the beefy numbers. When I say generate business for referral partners, I think that's the future. I think the loan officers that are the modern loan advisors are positioning themselves to think, okay, I can't 100% depend on the realtor to give me business. I'm going to co-lead generate. Right. And I'm going to do that through my content creation. I'm going to do national home buyer webinar funnels to bring a lot of first-time home buyers. I'm piloting right now a first-time home seller funnel, where I'm getting 200-300 home sellers in particular neighborhoods in the country, because everyone educates first-time home buyers. There's a lot of first-time home sellers that have no idea what they're doing, but preparing them for the spring and then generating leads there for my agents. It's creating valuable content in the respective platforms requirements, and investing in the right communities and the right coaches and the right, books to understand how to create great content and just committing to it. That's what I believe is a modern loan advisor in a nutshell.
Love it. Well, I'm going to share a little bit of a framework, get your thoughts, and then we'll go into a wrap up mode. So,
okay,
here's a framework, and I actually just edited a word in this framework based off of something you said, and I really liked it. Edutainment is something I believe in. But guys, here is the mortgage advisor of the future. I mean, I do believe true north is.
Oh, you have that word in there, edutain. That's so cool.
Well,
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Did you just type that in there?
I did, yeah. I haven't.
All right, cool.
Come on, bro.
I'm like, damn, bro, great minds think alike.
Yeah. So first of all, and I'm not saying mortgage coach because I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach. And you could call it mortgage advisor. I've always liked the coach. I by the way, I bought Mortgage Planner and Mortgage Coach at the same time when I founded Mortgage Coach, and I decided to name the company Mortgage Coach instead of Mortgage Planner or Mortgage Advisor, because I always just feel like coaches help you make a good decision, and then they help you hold you accountable. They stay in the game. Like, they're not just, planner, going to help you figure out a good plan and then good luck. No, coach, like, help people, make good decisions and help them execute that. And when you look at that, guys, if you were delivering a fee worksheet, you are not a modern mortgage advisor, period.
No.
Like you can't be delivering this transactional experience. And even though you may be giving transactional advice and coaching, you have to be delivering strategies. You have to be showing people, 2-1 buy downs versus non-buy downs, or 2-1 buy down versus seller buy down, monthly MI versus annual MI, purchase options, interest rate options. And then today's market, because rates are so darn high, showing and vision casting like, hey, in the future, you can refinance out of this thing. Like you have to be, you can't be doing this. And then you got to know your numbers, and you got to hit your numbers. Again, I'm a big believer in win by noon. You need to turn your database into a data bank. And Amir made a really good point. Think of your social media platform as part of your database, that you're turning into a data bank. And then make sure that it's being monitored by a Trust Engine or Sales Boomerang, so that you actually know who needs a loan before they know they need a loan. And then here's the deal, guys. You got to know the local data in your marketplace, because you can't create edutaining data if you're not an expert. Like, one of the reasons why Amir is so good is because he's been through coaching, he's been through events, he has become someone whose advice makes a difference. So now when it comes to like just edutating on social media, like, he kills it, because he's got all this. He's hit his numbers. He's optimized his database. He's an advisor. And now edutaining, like, it's he's got to do the work, but you got to do those things. So we're getting I want to wrap it up, because I know you got to jump. I see there are a few new loan officers watching us right now. So, you new LOs, welcome to the jungle. You couldn't have got here at a better time. And I really mean that. I mean, the next 5 to 10 years in mortgage is going to be amazing. Now there is still a bottom that we need to get to. And I think everybody hopes we get to that bottom sooner rather than later, but the future of being a mortgage professional is very, very bright. What closing thoughts do you have before we wrap it?
Thank you, Dave. I think in regards to newer loan officers, ignorance is bliss. What a great time to come into the business, because so many have fallen off the cliff because they've experienced immense amount of income gains these past 3 years, to where everything just shut off, and many of them working from home. So this is something that a lot of you are experiencing for the first time. Stuff like this happens every 7 to 10 years. So you're on the bottom of this roller coaster, just working its way up, right? And so it's an amazing time for you to come in. Do not listen to any of the naysayers. All you can experience is for it to maybe have a little bit more tough days ahead of us, but on the other side, the data does not lie. This is an incredible industry that can allow you and afford you to make a lot of money and meet a lot of great people. So stay the course. For all my loan officer kind of peers across the country, you hear guys like Sean Herrera closing 10 million. I have multiple high producing loan officers in my community. Katie Grimes in Kansas just closed 34 units last month for 14 million. Like, he was a title rep 4 years ago. Just onto the business, right? So there are people out there looking to buy homes. So you just got to put your blinders on, and remember, the golden goose of the American economy is the home. Number one wealth creation is through the home. The government's going to do everything they can to protect that, because there's 70 sub businesses that flow through homes. The window washers, the electric, utility, lawnmower, the kitchen, like everything revolves around the home. It's an ATM machine. You're directly tied to that. You provide the money towards it, right? And until somebody comes in and disrupts Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and says, I control the trillions of dollars and I'm just doing AI to wipe out all the loan officers, we're still in the business. If it's easy, we're out of the business. So embrace the difficulty and know that you finally have the power through your personal brand to go after your target market. There's never been a better time right now. So I want you guys to get super excited. And remember, they say you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Well, you're the average of the 5 people you follow on social. So unsubscribe to all the people that are bringing you a lot of negative vibes. Follow people like a Dave and some of the other names that we mentioned, because these people are recession proof because they've been through so many storms, right? And typically the best players like the Champanazians And these people, they've been through storms like this and they're doubling down. You have to follow these people everywhere because that's the only injection you're going to need right now to make sure you stay the course.
Beautiful, beautiful advice. And for you new loan officers, make sure you're building your advice skills. Even, for the loan officers that, be honest, are you delivering transactional education advice? Are you really delivering how to achieve financial freedom faster advice and build net worth with real estate faster? You new loan officers, call all your renter friends and tell them, hey, I'm new and I need your help. I need to practice a rent versus own analysis and really get good at helping first-time home buyers make the decision: do you keep renting or do you buy? And then do a MortgageCoach rent versus own analysis. Make sure that you are following First Home IQ so that you can really, deliver education, inspiration to Gen Z and millennials. Call all your homeowner friends and say, hey, I need your help. I need to practice a move-up analysis. I'm not trying to sell you a home or saying you should move up, but I need to practice, helping people decide like, hey, whether now is the time or not, like, should you rent out your house and move up? Should you sell it and move up? Should you wait till rates get to 5 to do it? Should you do it at 6? Should you do it now? Should you never do it? Get out there and practice your advice. And then as you become an advisor, 1, you'll have confidence. 2, you'll have skills. 3, your advice will make a difference. And then you can really build a brand. Now, I'm not saying don't start social media because you got to do it all. You just get better. So my brother, anyone that wants to follow you, learn more about Go Coaching, what are all the best places to go? No pun intended.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. Yeah. So as some of you guys may know, I'm a co-founder and principal coach at Growth Only Coaching, which we've shortened it to Go Coaching. If we're not friends on Facebook, it's just simple. It's Amir Syed. I'm really prevalent on LinkedIn, where I drop a lot of daily entrepreneurship gems, and then really good short form content on IG that's highly tactical for loan officers. So just add Amir Syed across the board. And I'll say this, guys, reach out to me, reach out to some of the people that are out there. Like, I read the book 7 Levels of Communication by Michael Mayer, and I messaged him and he's become my friend. Like Mike Weinberg, New Sales Simplified, read his book. I messaged him. He became my friend. These other big loan officers you see on MortgageCoach YouTube, guys, reach out to them. Like, this is the time where we have to all just come together, like DM people. Like, before you have to like track people down. We're so accessible now through DM. Just be like, hey, Jeremy Forcier, I watched you for 15 minutes. I'm really a fan. Would you give me 15 minutes of your time? I promise you a guy like that is going to say absolutely. So in this world of interconnectivity, please reach out to me. You'll see I'm very down to earth, and I have almost 400 people in our community now that are, investing in coaching. And, you don't have to just necessarily feel like you have to pay someone to connect with them. All of us had someone kind of pull us up. This is the most important time right now for community, man.
Yeah, no, I think that's how we connected this year. You reached out, we talked. I'm like, I love this dude. You came to the Modern Mortgage Summit. I'm like, oh my God, he's, I started following you on social media and I'm like, this guy's game is on. Anyways, hey, Amir, thank you so much. I love how you're elevating and helping elevate the industry. I appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Thank you, Dave.
Hey, take care, everybody. Hope you got value from this. Make sure you're following our channel. Make sure you are in the Trust Engine Facebook group, and take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.